Good morning, good morning. We're here in sunny Campbeltown, and whilst we've been enjoying looking around Springbank and Glen Distillery the last few days, we are now here at Glen Scotia, one of the other distilleries here in Campbeltown, and I'm really excited to learn a little bit more about it. We're lucky enough to have got Hector meeting us this morning. He's going to show us around a little bit. He's the assistant manager here at Glen Scotia, and I'm really looking forward to learning a lot more about this distillery. I feel like Springbank gets a lot of focus when it comes to Campbeltown whiskey, but Glen Scotia, for those who know, is just as good. Are you excited to get involved, Ian?
Absolutely. The 2022 Glen Scotia seasonal release in Amontillado casks was one of my favourite whiskies of last year. Absolutely amazing. And even though it's my second time in Campbeltown, embarrassingly, I was just sat here in the courtyard drinking last time. I didn't even
get a look around.
So this is going to be my first tour of Glen Scotia.
Fantastic. Me too. Well, let's get involved. Let's go.
We don't do our own maltings like some other distilleries do, like Springbank does across the road. We buy in the malt to the specification that we require. So we want unpeated, we'll buy an unpeated, heavily peated, we'll buy an heavily peated, or medium peated, just whatever that we want, we'll buy into the specification. Years and years ago we had our own maltings, but that was a long time ago, and things have changed since then. So we get probably 2 lorry loads now, because we're 24/7, we're working right round the clock now, we're right through the weekends now, so we get probably 2 loads a week now of malted barley. It gets delivered through here into the hole that I showed you outside, into this holder here, into the elevator, up the elevator, and into these 2 silos.
We are underway here at Glen Scotia and already next to this beautiful old mash tun. Unfortunately, it's getting to the point where it is starting to leak and crack, and Hector's telling us they will have to replace it, but what they're actually looking to maybe do is pop the new one inside, so they've got this beautiful outer casing showing the history of the distillery. The other thing that I love is seeing a bobby mill. Normally, you see Porteous as the standard, but bobby mills, in my mind, a little bit more romantic. Not really any more old school or anything, I just really like them, you know, I like the look a little bit better. But loving this at Glen Scotia. It is a whole different vibe to Springbank, so really enjoying it.
Okay guys, this is us, we're in the fermentation area, so we have got 6 wash parks here and 3 wash parks outside. Now the 3 wash parks we got put outside when we started to increase production, so instead of building a building and putting them in a building, we decided to put them outside and see how that works.
Okay.
Now the difference for the ones outside and the ones inside is when we're pumping the water from the underbark to the wash park, the ones inside will have to pump around about 20-21 degrees, but the ones outside, especially in the winter time, you may be looking at 23-24 degrees, because when you add the yeast, you need a little bit of the bottles to get the yeast to start fermenting.
Here in the still room at Glen Scotia and just getting a feel for the spirit that's being made. They had a wash go in this morning, spirit running off the safe already, and just really amazing to see another distillery here in Campbeltown pumping out amazing liquid. The smell in here is amazing and quite different to that at Springbank. So very, very interesting stuff. I don't really want to leave, but onwards to the fill house. Pallet storage.
Yes.
Which is interesting. Is that literally just from a space perspective?
The first reason is, if I'm filling a cask, all I need to do is take the forklift, take it to the filling store, fill 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then the forklift back again. The second reason is storage. I can store far more in a small area like this as I can if it was in a rack warehouse where you've got to individually put them in rack-wise, and less time consuming as well. So it's easier, to fill them and store them in here as it would be if it was a rack warehouse.
And do you have a preference as to what you're storing here in Campbeltown? Is there any sort of, releases that you're focusing on provenance? Not only was it made here, but it was matured here, or is that kind of not really a focus?
To tell you the truth, I would like as much as possible to be stored here in Campbeltown. Campbeltown's sitting in a peninsula. It's got the water on both sides of the peninsula. Ideal place to mature whiskey. You've got the salty sea air coming in from both sides, fresh salty sea air coming in to mature your whiskey. So it's just an ideal place to mature it. And then you say to yourself, why is there so many distilleries in Islay? Because it's an island and it's got all that salty sea air around there, so
Absolutely.
That's how they like it. And maybe that's how there's other distilleries popping up here in Campbeltown now, because they see the advantage of the fresh salty air that's round about the area for the maturation of the casks.
Oh, wow. That smell.
Oh. You smell it in here right away when you come in.
You say this is where you're storing the sherry casks?
Well, this is where we store, probably, no, not all sherry casks. We store any of the casks in here, really.
It smells kind of like winey.
Aye, but there will be sherry casks in here as well, yeah.
God, it smells good.
Why does this one smell and the other one not?
So we are here in Glen Scotia's warehouse number 1. Their main warehouse has storage for about 7,000 casks. Hector's saying they are just shy of those 7,000, and I tell you what, the smell really hits you as you walk in. It is a magical, magical place in here. I feel like I'm falling in love with Glen Scotia all over again. I mean, just look around, you've got everything from your bourbon barrels. They say they also store some sherry butts in here, which they don't use as often, but for their more special releases, this is where you will find them. So really, really cool stuff going on. And like I say, that smell, it is rich in the air. So Hector, thank you so much. Come to the end of a tour here at Glen Scotia. And what I love about being here in Campbeltown specifically, generally the whiskey industry as a whole, but individuals like yourself who have worked at different distilleries. You were saying you'd worked at Springbank, you worked at Glengyle, now you're at Glen Scotia. You've really got a wealth of knowledge across the board how whiskey is made. So interesting listening to you. Just for the people at home, you were telling me a really interesting story. Was it at Glengyle, the shell and tube condenser?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about what happened there.
Yeah, Glengyle, one of the nights I was on night shift at Glengyle, and now the shell and tube condensers at Glengyle Distillery is actually inside the building. And this particular night was a very frosty, cold night. And I started hearing this strange noise, and the safe started to get hotter and hotter and hotter. So switched off the stills to try and see what was wrong with what was happening. And what was actually happening was that the actual condenser, the water that was going up the condenser, was getting iced over, and it was the ice I was hearing that was kind of getting pushed up the condenser, and this was causing the stills to overheat. So I had to kind of close them off for a while and then get a hot hose and hose the condenser until the water melted, and then once I got it melted, I managed to kind of get the condenser to run again. So it just shows you it can get quite cold down here in Campbeltown from time to time. But that's the one and only time it happened to me. But it was about 2 o'clock in the morning that happened, and you had to be in your toes to sort that one out.
This is it, never a dull moment. And for all of you at home who love your Springbank, your Glengyle, your Glen Scotia, it's only here because we've got people like Hector looking after it day and night. 2 o'clock in the morning, he's there making sure everything's ticking over. So really, really appreciate you showing us around. Thank you so much. And really looking forward to drinking more Glen Scotia now that I know so much about it.
Lovely.
Thanks, Hector. Lovely to meet you. Take care.